Welcome back, gents and gentlets, to our haunted holiday blast, where it's not quite Christmas, but Halloween has already passed. Pay attention to what is said, for this video will go fast. You commented what should be next, and I chose to abide. Now let's talk about what happens when two holidays collide. The Nightmare Before Christmas. Here's everything inside. Tim Burton is one unique cookie, isn't he? I mean, some of his movies are way out there. I mean, am I right? Well, I hate to throw a monkey wrench in your little thought process there, but Tim Burton didn't actually make the movie The Nightmare Before Christmas.
What?
That's right, Henry Selick is responsible for making The Nightmare. And another stop motion that he was responsible for was the Pillsbury Doughboy commercials. That's right, that was actually stop motion back in the days. Nowadays it's all animated and everything, of course. Like Pixar. Tim did, however, make The Corpse Bride. Then why in the world is Tim's name clearly on the cover, you ask? Well, that's what we call clickbait, my dear friend. That's right, they slapped his name right on top of the movie cover, hoping that you would go watch the movie. Chances are you probably did because his name was up there. However, technically the story did actually come from Tim, he just didn't direct the movie. He was inspired one day while walking past a store window and he saw employees were taking down Halloween decorations and putting up Christmas spice. And so he thought, what in the world would happen if two holidays were to collide? And that's where the magic of The Nightmare Before Christmas came. And so technically he did write the story, and technically the story is his, but he didn't direct it. So it should actually be called Henry Selick's The Nightmare Before Christmas, not Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. But chances are if they called it Henry Selick's, you probably would have never watched it. Tim Burton wasn't the only clickbait they used for this movie though. Disney originally released the movie under its baby company called Touchstone Pictures because they want you to think that Disney only makes family-friendly movies, which they don't, and they were afraid The Nightmare Before Christmas might be a little bit too dark for their audience.
I'm really scared.
It wasn't until after everyone loved it that Disney decided to re-release it as theirs. They also wanted Jack to have eyes during the creation of the movie because they thought that might be a little bit too creepy. And Henry was like, no, that's okay, he doesn't need eyes. Thanks anyways. The reason Jack Skellington has stripes on his clothes isn't for style, it's actually so you can see him. Otherwise, he would just disappear into the dark backgrounds behind him in Halloween Town. Originally his suit was all black, but that just wasn't working. Naturally, the mayor of Halloween Town has two faces. It's to parallel that most real-life politicians seem to have two faces. Joe Rance was one of our loved favorites from Pixar, and before he started his journey with Pixar, he was actually helping on this movie as one of the storyboard supervisors. He also was the voice of Igor, you know, Dr. Finkelstein's pet.
The plan.
The guy that likes dog biscuits.
Excellent, Igor.
Interesting fact, Zero the dog was made up from lead. So the creators definitely had to wash their glowing hands after handling this ghostly dog. When Jack is soaring through the clouds as Santa Claus, those clouds actually weren't animated. They were made up from cotton. And though it sounds like that would be an easy thing to do, the cloud scene was actually a very difficult scene to make. Jack the Skeleton was already dead, so when he got shot out of the sky by the military, he would be dead a second time, right?
But they said you were dead.
Well, if you listen closely to Oogie Boogie, that's why he said you must be double dead.
You must be double dead. Bye-bye, Dollface and Sandman.
Captain, no splash.
Not a sound.
What the?
Not a bloomin' ripple.
Even though in the beginning Mickey Mouse was afraid to put his name on the cover of the movie, he wasn't afraid to show his face in the movie. When Jack Skellington is trying to figure out the secret behind the joy of Christmas, if you look over there on the right hand side of the table, you will see a pair of Mickey Mouse ears. Another Mickey that we get to see is in this cart full of pumpkins. If you watch the black pumpkins closely, at the very last second they turn into a perfect Mickey Mouse. The best time we get to see Mickey though is when the boy and girl go to see what old Saint Nick got him. The girl has Mickey Mouse pajamas on and the boy has Donald Duck pajamas. No arguments there, that's clearly an Easter egg. Sorry cat lovers, apparently Dr. Finkelstein's not a cat fan either.
Curiosity killed the cat, you know.
I know.
And for the record, just because you're not a cat lover, doesn't mean you're a cat hater.
Far off places, daring sword fights.
So if Tim Burton was so busy that he couldn't work on The Nightmare Before Christmas and he had to pass the project on to someone else, then what the heck was he working on that kept him so busy? He was busy making the movie Batman Returns. There are a few shoutouts to Tim's movie in The Nightmare Before Christmas, like the bat here is drawn to be almost a perfect reference of the Batman logo. And this toy duck got shot up with a bunch of bullets. Ironically, the Bat guy in Batman Returns rides around in a little duck shooting up the place with a bunch of bullets. Speaking of bats, because this is a stop motion, the stuff that flies around can't actually fly, so they have to hold them in the air somehow. Well, if you look closely at the bats, you can see all the thin little strings holding them up. Jack Skellington is like a darker version of the Mickey Mouse in other movies. That's right, Jack Skellington has many appearances all over the place, including a few video games. Though we typically only see him in movies with a certain level of darkness to them. Like he's a pirate in James and the Giant Peach. Or in the movie Alice in Wonderland, we can see Jack is on the Mad Hatter's bow tie. One of those weird statues in the background behind Jack Skellington might look a little bit familiar. That's probably because it resembles the famous painting Scream. And of course here we are referencing to Shakespeare. He even said Shakespeare.
To recite Shakespearean quotations.
More specifically, it's from Hamlet, Act 5, Scene 1. My high school English teacher would be shocked I figured that one out. Danny Elfman was in charge of the music and lyrics of the movie, which is pretty much the entire movie since most of it's singing. Back in the day though, he was in a band called Oingo Boingo. This part right here is a little reference to the band. Tender Lumplings is from one of his songs.
And so, my tender lovely,
Life's no fun without a good scare.
Danny Elfman also made a cameo in the movie. If you look inside the bass from the band, you will see his head sitting inside there, quite literally. We get to see a couple of the names from the cast made it to Santa's naughty or nice list, like Dean Taylor, the art director, or Allison Abbott, the artistic coordinator. Being stop motion, you're always going to have some sort of mistakes or continuity errors, and I'm just going to go ahead and let them slide because stop motion is such a time-consuming art that they get a free pass. One mistake I can't let slide though, and just have to point out, is when the weirdo here is making hats that PETA would never approve of. If you look at the latch, it magically teleports through the lock. Vincent Price was originally going to be the voice actor for Santa Claus. However, his wife recently died and he obviously felt very sad, and it leaked out through his voice in the film. And so that obviously wasn't going to work. Sadly, or romantically, depending on your perspective, Vincent Price died just 12 days after The Nightmare Before Christmas was released. If you ever get a chance to go to Disneyland, make sure you check out the Haunted Mansion ride. Obviously this would be a type of ride you would expect to see Jack Skellington in. And you would be correct if you thought you saw him. That's right, they have Jack Skellington and a few other Easter eggs from The Nightmare Before Christmas hidden in the Haunted Mansion ride. Of course you're going to see a bunch of hidden Mickeys in there as well, and here's a quick cheat sheet to help you get started on your adventure.
Look, Zero, I think they like our Christmas.
Have you been naughty or nice?
I like this Christmas thing.
Tim Burton says there's not going to be a sequel to The Nightmare Before Christmas though, like Jack Visits Thanksgiving or something like that, because he thinks it wouldn't be very true to the fans. Meanwhile, these bloody pirates over here have built a sequel-making machine.
Bloody pirates.
There's still time for you to enter to win a free Nintendo Switch and the game Cars 3 Driven to Win. Just go to crazynate.com to enter. Find these hidden Easter eggs in this video and leave a comment below where they're at. Don't forget to include #treat for your chance to win a free Share a Smile shirt. And now we know what happens when holidays meet. You might get a trick or a holiday treat. Subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure, and don't forget to click the little bell before the monsters do. Most importantly of all, Gentlettes, share a smile. They are contagious.